How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Glad to have you guys here. So yeah, today's more of just like talking mobile tech news and just kind of getting everyone hip to the fact. With the main topic discussion is iOS 26 point 0.1 and iOS 18.7.1. Um, what was the reason for this software update? There's a little bit of concern regarding the previous version of the iOS 26 and 18 that could be a security risk. So we're going to take a look at that and see what's being talked about with that software update. Also, a little bit of news, an idea that's floating around in the country of Japan regarding its citizens and their usage of mobile tech devices. So we're going to kind of like look at that. There is a poll if you guys want to go ahead and vote. That would be pretty awesome because that kind of pertains to that whole subject article. And then we're also talking about an app that pretty much targeted the youth and basically ciphered uh, data regarding the youth, right? Which is a big no-no. So we're going to talk about that app and also some other discussions as well. So keep it locked all the way through. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel and you guys just did, I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you for joining the family, as well as hitting the like button because it does help this circulate so more people can find it. So anyways, yeah, the Justice Department has sued social media giant over deceptive youth targeting in California. This pertains to an app known as Sendit. So anyways, yeah, let's just kind of get into all of this here. Let me know also if if audios is coming in nice and clear and you guys can hear me pretty well. I definitely want to make sure you guys are able to hear me. But yeah, so it says right here, the U.S. Department of Justice, in a move signaling heightened scrutiny on digital practices aimed at young audiences, has stepped into the fray with a lawsuit against iconic Hearts Holding Incorporated and its CEO, Hunter Rice. The charges revolve around claims of deceptive operations through their social media messaging app, Sendit. The app, popular amongst the younger demographic, has been accused of sending anonymous, romantic, and explicit messages, directing them to believe they were from actual acquaintances. This has been outlined in a complaint filed in the U.S. District Court of the Central District of California. So anyone that's from California, let me know if you guys have heard about this. This is something that, pretty much shocked me, and it's only because I've never heard of this app. This is an app that, I haven't really seen or heard anyone talk about. Not even my kids have talked about this. So I had no idea that there was this app service. So this is like basically how out of touch that I am regarding this, is because I had no idea that this app even existed. My kids use apps like Instagram, right? Which, allows me to kind of just connect with their Instagram app because, they're kids. So parental supervision is a must when it comes to social media. So everything that my kids do on their phone, and I am well aware of what they do. Some people may say that I'm too overly protective. I really don't care because it's my kids, not everybody else's kids, and how my kids are raised is how my kids are raised. So, with that being said, honestly, and my wife is like messaging me too. But anyways, yeah, everything that my kids do, I basically am involved in what they do on their phone. There's not anything they do on their phone that I don't know about. They are pretty open with me about me being able to check their phones to see what they're doing. I'm always consistently, um, you know, looking through their devices and messages, and because I'm a techie, right? I know how to dig up stuff, so it's not like that. They got one up on me on things. I'm able to check up on stuff, passwords to their actual accounts, whether they're like my daughter. She has an iPhone, so like her iCloud account, I have passwords to see everything that that she's doing. I can log in from a different Apple device that I have. And my other kids that have Android, well, I have their Google account password, so I can see histories of things that they do. So I'm always on top of it, and you have to be as a parent, and it's not invasion of privacy. To some people, they'll be like, "Oh man, you don't give your kids any privacy or whatever," But it's like we've learned from so many things, from so many past things that's happened, that's been in the media news regarding the youth and everything like that. We've learned that when you allow that type of privacy is when you end up not being able to answer any questions when something pretty major happens, and investigators are trying to grab as much info as possible, and then you become that parent that can barely answer any questions, and that sucks, because that gives them nothing to work on. So pardon me if I seem a little bit taken away. I'm like trying to message my wife at the same time. She's on her way to work and she's running late and she's pretty upset today. Today's just not starting out to be a good day for her, so hopefully the rest of her day gets better over time. But anyways, yeah, you have to be on top of that. So when things like this arise, it's like, okay, like do we need to tighten up these types of things when it comes to app services and things like that? Is there some sort of like online policing that needs to be invented to really kind of like deep dive into these things? Because like when they make mention of stuff like like sending anonymous romantic messages and explicit messages, I mean, for the youth, now we're talking about the youth, we're not talking about adults. That's pretty extreme, at that point. Under U.S. law, the government controlling our use of apps could interfere with our constitutional rights. Children's constitutional rights should be monitored by the parents. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, parents have got to be diligent on that type of stuff. The thing about it is that today a lot of parents put these devices in the hands of their children as a method to alleviate, them from having to do more parenting than what they want to do. This is something that we see in society every day. Every day, it's pretty much like this, right? Like we see, kids, like, at least for me, like here where I live at, like when I go to grocery stores, it's like there's a good odds chance I'm going to see a mother or a father shopping for food with their child. But the one thing that's always remained the same, no matter what, whether it's dad or mom, is that the child has a phone or tablet in their hand. And I know, that's like some parents' dream come true, right? Keeping your kid occupied so they're not asking for everything that's on the shelves. I totally get that, but then at the same time too, you're also training your child to bond with mobile technology rather than their parents. This is why, like, I feel, now I'm stating opinion for those people who need to know. This is why I feel like kids today don't have that respect for their parents as my generation did. How can you have respect for someone when you haven't bonded with them on that level? And your bonding came in the form of you being given, an electronic device to bond with. So that's, that's the thing. That's why, like, as much as I'm fascinated by mobile technology, as much as I love to talk about it, new phones that are coming out and things like that. And third, I also try to rally behind not allowing digital devices to raise your child. Like, you definitely want to be involved in all the things that your kids do. Some kids may not like it. They may not want you reading text messages. Like if you have like a teenage kid that's got a significant other in school, they may not want you to read a lot of the the messaging that they're doing back and forth with their partner. But at the end of the day, you want to be sure of what they're doing at every little step that they're doing. And like with my kids, my kids and me, like we have a pretty good bond. So for instance, my oldest daughter, if I'm going through her phone, she's not ever worried about what she's done on her phone. There's nothing in her mind that she would be embarrassed of me seeing. because we have that open discussion relations. My daughter knows she can come to me about anything and talk to me about anything, regardless of what it is. I'm not going to, put her down. I'm not going to make her feel bad. I'm not going to, make her feel insecure about herself, right? Like we have that open discussion. And the reason why that I've created that bridge with my oldest daughter is because, when I was growing up, a lot of female friends that I had in high school and stuff like that, they were doing the deed early. They were getting pregnant. They were becoming young mothers. I don't want that from my daughter. Like, she knows that she wants to open up her own bakery, then eventually, chain it out and have several bakeries across the country. And I'm like, that's good, But I also wanted to see the world. I also wanted to be cultured, right? Because one of the ways that she's going to be successful, especially like, with her bakery shop and flavors and things like that, is if she goes out and experiences different cultures to see what types of foods, desserts, sweets that they have. That's something that she could incorporate, into her menu for her bakery. And so I need her to be open-minded, so she knows after high school she could go into college if she wants to, but she also knows that I'm okay with her if she is going to decide to travel and see the world and experience cultures. I feel like our generation also got our butts. Yeah. That also, yeah, it is. Like, it's hard for parents today to discipline their children when they don't even pay attention to their child. I think that's kind of like the reason, and like, if people get offended by what I'm saying, I'm not sorry, because this is kind of the reason why, like, we have, children lashing out at their teachers in school and feeling like they can put hands on their teacher. Like, I see so much types of stuff on social media, like, it's baffling. Just how much that, that these young teenagers and young kids can do today and get away with today. You wouldn't have gotten away with that in my time. Like Brandon said, we were handing ass whippings, a healthy amount of them, which kind of straightened us out. But it's not like we were abused and we were beat all the time. That's not how it went, and disciplining and stuff like that. But we did get a healthy dose of discipline to kind of keep us on the straight track. And today, social media devices are what's raising kids. So they watch TikTok, they watch Instagram Reels, they see what other people are doing for clout, for attention, and then these kids enact upon it in real life. Like, they don't even need their camera phone on. They're just doing it to do it because they feel like that's normalcies, and it's really not. It's not normalcies at all. So, yeah, definitely parents out there, be in tune with what your children are doing and forget the ambitions of being a TikTok megastar. First of all, I don't even know how anyone can consider themselves to, become a TikTok megastar when all you're doing is staring into your phone and kind of making duck lips and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm a different breed. Maybe the younger generation likes that type of stuff. I have no idea. So anyways, going on with this, basically what it's going to continue to talk about here, it says, according to the announcement made on September 30th by the Justice Department, the charges brought forward include violations of the FTC Act, the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act, or the ROSCA, and the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPA. It is alleged by the Justice Department that the defendants have collected tens of millions of dollars in revenue through the purchase of their Diamond membership. The membership reportedly allowed users to unmask the identities behind the anonymous messages, which were in fact being sent from the Sendit app. The deceptive nature of these practices, according to the Assistant Attorney General Brett A. Shumit, was not only unfair, but also targeted a vulnerable audience. The Department of Justice is committed to preventing companies from using unfair and misleading business practices to profit off American children. The commitment by Shumit has been echoed as they, alongside the FTC, aspire to enforce federal consumer protection laws vigorously. So it continues on, quote, on the legal front, the United States, represented by a team spearheaded by the trial attorney Marcus P. Smith and assistant director Zachary A. I'm sorry if I butchered the last name, but Dietert, of the Civil Division Consumer Protection Branch, with ample support from the FTC representatives Saban C. Amin, Miles D. Freeman, and John D. Jacobs. The interest of consumers, particularly the youth, ensnared by the app's alleged schemes, lies at the heart of the action. For more details on this actions of the Consumer Protection Branch, the public can visit their website. So yeah, basically, collecting the young's data and profiting off of it, not a good move, not a very good move. And again, for those people who want to know, the app is called Sendit. It's in the title. It's pretty much taking the word send and it and just combining it as like kind of like one word, but it's still pronounced the way it's supposed to be pronounced, Sendit. Yeah, first of all, I don't even think that the youth should even have something of like an anonymous messaging board or chat or whatever. Like, you need to know who you're chatting with at all times. Like this app, and the fact that it allowed people to, anonymously message one another, to me, I mean, that's already red flags galore just popping up. I mean, you don't know what kind of freaks, predators are even going in that thing. And man, it was a disaster waiting to happen off jump, like literally off jump. So anyways, yeah, I'm just like, man, don't do anonymous messaging for the youth. Seriously. Woo, refreshing. Anyways, so this next little piece that I want to talk about kind of like correlates with that app, but in a very much more different way. This is pertaining to the country of Japan, and something that they're going to probably put into practice. So yeah, let's dive into it. And it says this was from the New York Times, and it goes on to say, can this make residents put down their smartphones? The authorities and I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but Toyoki, Japan, introduced a rule limiting the use of digital devices to 2 hours per day outside of work and school. Some residents say it is an overreach. So anyways, so it says the idea came to Masafumi Kaoki, the energetic mayor of the Japanese city of Toyoaki, on the summer day as he pondered rising truancy rates at local schools. Nearly 68,000 residents, especially children, seem increasingly addicted to their digital devices, he thought, so why not try to reduce the amount of time they spent staring at a screen? With a few days, Mr. Kaoki and his staff have drafted a 2,400 character ordinance limiting the use of smartphones, tablets, game consoles, and computers to 2 hours per day for its residents, not counting work and school hours. The ordinance, which goes into effect on Wednesday, will make Toyoki one of the first cities in Japan to attempt to use the platform of the government to get its citizens to put down their phones. Goes on and says, it's so sad to end your day looking at your smartphone all the time at home. Said in an interview this week, an industrial suburb of Nagoya, I hope the citizens change their behavior. Obviously, this is the mayor right here. And it's a very interesting concept. Now, this is definitely going to, spew back and forth criticisms from both sides, right? You're going to have people that's like, I should not be regulated on the usage of smartphones, tablets, computers, gaming consoles that I have in my home. I should be able to freely do what I want to do. Some will say that this is tyranny. there's a lot that goes into play here. And then you have the other hand of people that's going to be in support of something like this, and maybe they want to limit it to 2 hours per day. Maybe they want to limit it to only 1 hour per day. Like, you have to understand, in one particular day there's 24 hours, and about 8 to 10 of those hours you are asleep. Hopefully you are, and not like my oldest son in the next room, who you guys probably heard sneezing in the beginning of this podcast, because he literally only gets like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And then there's days where he crashes out for 11 hours because his body is telling him, I've had enough of being up very late with less sleep. You are going to let me rest. And I'm telling you, there were times in the past couple of months, there are times where his body has shut down on him. Like, his body forced his ass to sleep. And the reason why is because, he's a college student, so he's got all his college products that he has to do. Luckily, this semester, all his classes are online courses, so he does it from home. Then after that, he games with his friends that he's been friends with since 5th grade. So they all get together online and they game from 8 o'clock at night, probably till like 4 or 5 in the morning. And then he goes to sleep at like 5 in the morning, and he sleeps till about right around now, which is like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. He has to get up because he has some classes that he has to do online, and then he has to go pick up his sister from high school, because that's how he helps out and contributes to the household. And so, yeah, so there's only so many times, there's only so much hours in a day, right? Normally most people sleep about 8 hours to 10 hours. Young kids sleep about 10 hours. At least my kids get 10 hours of sleep, because of school. Most people like 6 to 10 hours. Let's just call it that. And all right, and it's like with job or with school, let's say about 8 to 9 hours, 10 hours, because if you have to commute with public transportation, well, then it's like an hour to get to work, 8 hours. Well, technically 9 hours of work, because you get like a 1 hour lunch, and then an hour to come home, so that's 10 hours, right? So that's already 16 to 18 hours of your day is already consolidated to having to do something. So there's only very little bit left of the day. And then, of course, if you have to get things done, like pay bills, maybe you have to go to an appointment or something like that, right? The remainder of the day is left for you to do that. So technically, when you see a limitation of 2 hours of social media time or 2 hours of being on your device, to a lot of us, when we hear 2 hours, we think it's very little. That's actually pretty large, considering everything that you have to do in the day. As a productive member of society, everything that you have to do in a day, 2 hours is generous. I mean, if they were like limiting it to like half an hour or 1 hour, of course, people are gonna feel that's very low. But it's crazy that he's attempting to do this, because he's noticed, kids being truant from school, people walking around always having their phones in front of their face. I mean, that's a struggle that we kind of get with, right? The new TikTok trend is just to get clout and views. They will break or damage their phone or on purpose by doing things like slamming the phone. That's pretty stupid, especially if it's like an iPhone and it costs like $1,000. Like, you treat $1,000 like it's nothing. That's insane, Brandon. That's absolutely insane. But you know what? Like, I totally get that. Like, I totally understand, the trends and stuff like that. What people are doing. I mean, because yeah, it seems like that's a way for people to try and try to like make a living. See, like, one of the reasons why YouTube is like overly massively flooded with content creators and stuff and such, right, is because today in society, people don't want to go to a 9-to-5 job. Like, they don't want to work. So because they don't want to work, they figured, well, if I become a TikToker or a YouTuber or an Instagram influencer, like, I can make money doing that. And yes, while you are a YouTube partner with the YouTube Partnership Program and you have the ability to monetize your videos, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. You could be making about $1,000 a month, maybe $2,000 a month, which is something like what a normal person making minimum wage would make in a pay period, right? Because to be equivalent, like, to do YouTube and to earn from ad share revenue to be equivalent to someone who's making like, between $15 to $19 an hour at a 9 to 5 job, you would have to make on YouTube about $4,000 to $4,500 a month off ad share revenue, just to be equivalent to like someone that's making minimum wage here in my city, because I think minimum wage here is $15 an hour, so just about that. And that would be like, a monthly earning. So yeah. But there's people that just don't want to go and work. They don't want to go to work at McDonald's, or wherever, right? There's a reason why, like, we're seeing, like, at least for me, I'm seeing a lot of videos on social media where people react to TikTokers crashing out over losing their food stamps, losing their Section 8 housing and stuff like that, because the government's requiring them to at least work, I think it's 80 hours a month. So that's part-time. That's like working 20 hours a week. So that's like a 5-hour shift a day. And but people are like really pissed off because, they've been on welfare generationally. They're used to being on welfare generationally. And so they're not liking that there is conditions to getting that type of stuff, right? So everyone's always looking for the easy way out. And that's why YouTube is overly flooded with so many creators. And some of them are finding out it's not sunshines and rainbows. It's not. I post a video and every day, and at the end of the month, I'm gonna have $10,000. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I've been on here since 2010. There's not in that amount of time, I have not made over $1,000 a month on ad share revenue. Okay. And I'm like one of the low end creators. There are other creators that, have a bit more interactions and engagement with their subscribers. And even then, they're not making over 10,000, right? Like, you're like, if you make over 10,000 a month on YouTube with ad share revenues, you're like in the 1%. Consider yourself lucky. So anyways, kids today, they're always on their social media devices. They're always on their gaming. It is affecting their learning. It is affecting their social skills. Because that's something that I've noticed. Like, the youth today can't read body language. They can't. The youth today can understand somebody better based on a text message and how it's typed out. If it's typed in all caps, they must be screaming. See, like, when my kids were telling me that, I was like, when I looked at it, my first thought is that y'all suck at grammar. Why do you have to capitalize every letter in a word? You only capitalize the first letter if, it's like a noun. And then my kids are like, no, that means they're yelling. I'm like, wait. So all caps is yelling. And then my youngest son's like, yeah, Dad, that's why it's called all caps rage. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so like those times where, I put all capital letters, you guys thought I was yelling at you? They were like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, because yelling as a sound expression comes from the throat and from the diaphragm. And I'm like, how would you guys even know I'm yelling at you? I mean, I don't know. It's their thing, right? I remember what it was like to be their age, and my dad talked crap about everything that I was doing. Everything. Wearing baggy clothes and having, the long hair with the undercut and, getting eyebrow piercings. My dad's like, you're trying to turn into the Borg from Star Trek. And I'm like, what? So yeah, it's like, it's absolutely insane. How, you get to my age and you start to realize, hey, you know what my dad was telling me, now I'm telling my kids, it's just repeated cycles and things. Credit card debt is killing the youth, but they don't even realize while they soak up the high. I mean, well, I don't know what teenager would have a credit card. I'm sorry, but my kids don't have credit cards. I won't put that type of power in their hand. I don't trust them. I don't trust them for crap. My my nephew one time got in some heavy trouble because his dad linked the dad linked the debit card to his son's I think it was a Google Play account, and the son decided to spend $500 in Pokemon Go power ups. Right, the son bought so much Poke coins for Pokemon Go. He bought $500 worth to level up his Pokemon storage, to level up his bag storage, to buy items to be used in the game. $500. Like, no, I would never trust my kids with any of my payment methods. This is the reason why that anything that they want goes into one of those prepaid debit cards you can get at Walmart, and that's what they use for their online purchases on Roblox and stuff like that. Nothing linked to those cards, like the green dot card. That's what it's called. You buy them at Walmart, you load them at Walmart, and then it works like a debit card. So like and it's funny because I've caught my kids trying to do it. So like they're curious if it's like a real bank card or anything like that, and I see them inputting the card information back in, trying to buy something, and then when they hit purchase and then it gets declined, and then I laugh. They haven't figured out that I know what they're doing. It's just that there's nothing linked to that card. There's no bank account linked to it. There's no auto top up, like none, like nada, nothing. I don't put anything to that. So, yeah, that's how they're able to get their stuff on Roblox and Fortnite and whatever that they're gonna buy, the skins and stuff like that, is because I use that method. I don't link any bank cards to their stuff. So yeah. According to Alex, there's a new TikTok trend. If your kids do it as a parent, it will cost you thousands of dollars. My kids don't do any trending stuff. That's the thing. So like my daughters, my son, like we've had so many conversations over the years about what other people do is not something that they have to do. So like if you guys actually want to know what my kids are like I don't mind sharing this with you guys because it's not super personal information. But my oldest daughter, she is heavy into anime. So her free time, like on the weekends or when she's on break from school, it's spent reading manga, watching anime episodes of her favorite anime series like Demon Slayer and everything like that, with all that stuff that they watch now. I mean, they look at me like I'm old because I like Vampire Hunter D and Fist of the North Star and Ninja Scrolls and like those anime. They have these new anime that they watch, and so yeah, she's always either watching anime or she is reading manga. My youngest daughter, she's on Fortnite or Roblox, and she connects with her friends from her previous school, and that's what they do. They game together. If she's not gaming, then she's either outside playing, like in the front yard area, like she takes the dogs out, and she plays fetch with Velvet, my German Shepherd. And so she's either outside being active, or she's inside either playing a game with her brother, the youngest one. They're either playing a game together, or they're building some sort of concoction. They're always doing something like a project together, and then they get in trouble because they break something. But I would rather have that than them being on TikTok. Because they're not allowed to have TikTok, so they don't have it. They don't have TikTok. They don't have Snapchat. They don't have none of that. The only thing that my kids have is Instagram and YouTube. And like my youngest daughter, she used to make YouTube videos. Like she had her own channel and everything. I think the last I remember where she was at 2,000 subscribers, and she was making shorts. But they were like animation shorts, gameplay, stuff like that. And she's since stopped. Her account is still up, but she hasn't uploaded anything new lately. So the traction that she was building on YouTube has now declined and plateaued, flatlined. I don't think she's coming back to YouTube to make any content at all whatsoever. So that's what they do. They don't get on TikTok. They don't follow trends and stuff like that. My kids are like outsiders, kind of like in a way, because they're not into what today's youth is into per se on that level. So they're like the nerds. if anyone wants to call them that. I don't call them that at all because there's nothing wrong with what and how they are. Like my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's a freshman. No desire to date. I mean, she had one boyfriend in her entire time, and that was in, I think it was 7th grade. She got a boyfriend in 7th grade. That was her boyfriend for like a week and a half. But she broke up with him because he was letting his grades slip. Which shocked the hell out of me when she told me that, because I was like, why did you break up with him? You know, like, why did you dump him? Like, poor kid. He's probably like all sad and everything. And she's like, well, I don't want to date a dummy. I'm like, okay, well, do you, you know? So yeah, she broke up with her boyfriend and she hasn't dated anybody else. To her, that's not her thing. She's not interested in that. Yeah. My kids have watched things with their mom. Like their mom likes to, you know, to keep them informed of like what goes on in the world. Like, you know, the trafficking thing. Because we live in Arizona, so human trafficking is pretty high here. This is like a hub for that insane business. And so I always have to have my kids on point. Like, they're not to be far away from me in public. They have to be together as a group. They're not to socialize with anybody. They're not to talk to anybody who's pretending to solicit things. If we go shopping places, they don't talk to nobody. Their thing of stranger danger, that's a real thing that they know of. You know, what I've learned growing up, the things that I was taught, like especially back in the day when I was in elementary school, we had the DARE program. So like the people from DARE would come and, you know, they would talk to us about, you know, drug abuse. They would talk to us about, you know, a crime in your neighborhood and how to respond, how to call 911, how to get help, what to do in certain situations, right? Like we had that. I don't know why they don't have this stuff in schools today. My kids always tell me they've never heard of DARE. I'm like, they should bring that back. What up, David? Good morning to you. It is time for school. I'll talk to you later, Tito. All right, man. Take it easy, Michael. Have a great day in class. You guys didn't know, I guess if Michael goes to college or like a vocation. You go to college, right? just a double take. Let us know. I love that end of it. Aloha. Yep, that's right. Aloha, brother. Take it easy, cuz. One day I'm going to speak like the dialect from Hawaii, right? They call it pigeon, but not pigeon like the bird. It's spelled P-I-D-G-I-N. Pigeon English, which is like a broken form of English that Hawaiians speak. And it's so crazy because I don't sound right when I do it nowadays because there's nobody here in Arizona that I know that can speak pigeon. So it's not like I can daily it. You know, it's like foreign languages. Like if you know Spanish and you live in a place where nobody speaks Spanish, eventually you're going to lose how to sound things out because you're not talking in it, you're not practicing it. So it's not a part of your daily life. That's why I always feel weird. Like if my older sister's talking to me and she starts talking in pigeon and I try to, talk back in pigeon, I feel awkward because it's like, am I even sounding right? Or do I sound ridiculous? I mean, so yeah, anyways. Yeah, so, how many people use iPhones? Do any use Android? So, in my household, it's a mix-up, right? So, I mean, I use both. So, I have a Pixel 10. And then, right now, I have my iPhone 11 Pro Max. That's what I use for iOS. And then I have my OnePlus 9 and my Nothing Phone 1. Yeah, that's what I have. My oldest daughter uses an iPhone. She has the iPhone 12. My youngest daughter uses the Galaxy S21. My youngest son uses a Pixel 6a. And my wife has the Pixel 9a. And my second oldest son, he has the Moto G Stylus 2024. My dad, he likes Pixels, so he uses Pixels. My stepmom uses the Samsung Galaxy. I believe she has the Galaxy S23 Ultra. My older sister uses iPhone. My nieces and nephews, they all use iPhones. Like pretty much my sister's family is all iPhone. They're invested in the Apple ecosystem. So we pretty much use, in my family, it's a mix of a lot of things. But if you're like talking about just my immediate family, we're predominantly Android. My oldest daughter, she is okay. Like, she would prefer Android, but she's using the iPhone. And, you know, like, for her birthday, like, she's a big fan of Cinnamon Roll, which is, I guess, is a character with Hello Kitty and stuff like that. And so there's a case coming that was ordered for her, and it's actually coming from China. I didn't know that, so it's going to take a while to get here, but it's her favorite thing. So many pixels. I'm using one too. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been using pixels for the longest time. I mean, that's like, if you were like, okay, pick one phone and that's all you could use from now on, it's going to be Pixel. I like the way that Pixels perform and everything. I like the features that it has. I can care less. I mean, people always have this argument thing, like, oh, it doesn't have a Qualcomm Snapdragon. I don't give a shit. Because the tensor processor in the Pixels is designed to do what the Pixels are supposed and meant to do. And they're not gaming phones. It's not a ROG phone, you know, so I don't know why people just always want... It's like people that argue with me about Pixels always come at me with, you know, trying to make the Pixel like a Galaxy S device or a gaming phone or an iPhone. It's like, no, it's not those things. It's its own thing. So anyways, that's for a different time, different video, whatever. All right, you know, we're going to be wrapping up the podcast here soon. So we're going to jump right into this whole issue going on with iOS 26.0.1. This update that just recently dropped regarding iPhones. And there's like a concern. So this is from Forbes. And so they kind of posted on here, I guess there was an update this morning. This article, originally published on September 30th, has been updated to include details of bugs fixed in iOS 26.0.1, adds news of iOS 26.1, and asks whether you should upgrade your iPhone to the latest versions. Apple has issued iOS 26.0.1 and iOS 18.7.1 along with the warning to update your iPhone now. That's because both iOS 26.0.1 and 18.7.1 address a single security vulnerability in the iPhone maker's operating system. So there's a vulnerability. I'm not going to be an asshole about it because a lot of people always tell me, Apple's the most secure thing. That's why I choose Apple over Google Pixels. Okay. Well, I mean, both seem to pretty much be on top of software security because this is out and there was a vulnerability. What was the vulnerability, I would say? Apple doesn't give much detail about what's fixed in iOS 26.0.1 and 18.7.1 to allow as many iPhone users as possible to update before attackers get a hold of the information. However, 26.0.1 and 18.7.1 both fixed the same security flaw in the font parser, a part of Apple's operating system that processes font files, which could see unexpected app terminations or corrupted process memory. If the iPhone user processes a maliciously crafted font tracked as CVE-2025-43400, the out-of-bounds write issues was addressed with improved bounds checking according to Apple support page. So this is what, if you like install fonts and stuff like that, there was malware attached to it. Like, wow. Well, that's the first I've heard of something like that. On its own, the vulnerability fixed in iOS 26.0.1 and 18.7.1 does appear to have a relatively low risk, says Sean Wright, head of application security at Featurespace. So what was the bug? Let's see. When a new iPhone software is released, it will inevitably include bugs. Wait, Apple's admitting this? Or Forbes is admitting this? Of course it will have bugs. However, those who already updated to iOS 26 will find many of the issues are fixed in the latest iOS 26.0.1 update. The 26.0.1 upgrade apparently squashes bugs, including issues with the iPhone's Wi-Fi impacting iPhone 17 models. So if you bought the iPhone 17 were having Wi-Fi issues, this later update, the 26.0.1, I mean, that was fixed. All right. So meanwhile, a small number of iPhone users may be unable to connect to cellular network after updating to iOS 26, Apple said, adding that this should now be fixed. Another bug addressed is the problem with photos taken under certain lighting conditions with iPhone 17, iPhone Air, and iPhone 17 Pro models, which could include unexpected artifacts, Apple said. What? I thought these phones were perfect. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. I like to be. Why not? Let's spice this whole thing up. Why am I being such an a-hole about this? Well, because of like the unlimited amount of people getting pissed off that I bought the Pixel 10 over the iPhone 17, or like, you didn't get any value in it. Hey, let me tell you guys, and I'm going to say it again. I bought this for $499. I didn't buy it for $799. So did I get value out of it, even though it's only 128 gigs of internal storage? Yeah, damn right I did. I sure did. Anyways, iOS 26.0.1 update squashes a bug that could see voiceover become disabled for some users after updating to iOS 26. Wow, they had some crazy bugs. Nothing detrimental, but some crazy bugs. See, Apple says that macOS 26.0.1 update includes non-specific bug fixes and also addresses the problem that was keeping some users of this year's high-end M3 Ultra Max Studio from installing the update. According to the tech site Ars Technica, the tvOS update fixes a problem that could cause audio to desync from the video in some apps. Many iPhone users who have already updated to iOS 26 expressed relief about the release of 26.0.1. On the thread on Reddit, one user said, "I can say for sure that overall performance is a ton better and my keyboard lag is gone. So far, not stuttering either." I mean, I'll try that out later on today, because I was going to make a video today anyways talking about iOS 26 and how I feel about it. So now I got to grab my iPhone 11 Pro Max and do an update on it, because I believe it might already be on iOS 26.0.1. I don't know. Expect the video later on this afternoon or night, depending on where you are in the country. But yeah. So these things happen. They happen. Android has bugs. They put out bug fixes. Apple does it too. This is inevitable. Bugs are inevitable. You're going to have them. The vulnerability was a concern that I had about, those out there with malicious intent being able to exploit iOS. So, yeah, it goes. What else is there? Is there anything else to this? Okay. Nope. It just talks about, this basically the main concern here was called the font parser bug, and the patch must be applied as soon as possible. So if you're not on iOS 26.0.1 with your iPhone, take the update. There is a security vulnerability that Apple definitely does not want someone to exploit, especially with your phone. So if you've been holding back, if you're scared, like, I don't know, this might mess up my iPhone, you have a very good reason to just shut up and take the update, basically. I know a lot of people are pretty concerned with the latest versions of iOS coming out. When the new iteration comes out, people are a bit concerned about it, because it does, for the most part, it can make the phone a little wonky, maybe a little laggy, especially if you're like on an older, like if you bought an iPhone 17 series or a 16 series or a 15 series, you're dope. You're copacetic and okay. But if you're like on, like the base model 14, if you're on the 13, if you're on the 12, if you're on the 11, well, yeah, you may see some performance issues and you may see some lag. When I was beta testing iOS 26, I can tell you guys I wasn't impressed with it at all on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, because it ran like garbage. And even with the full launch of iOS 26, it still ran like crap. It has, since smoothed out, and I'm going to double check later to see if I already had taken the 26.0.1. If I hadn't, I'm going to update to it, and then I'll probably hold off dropping the iOS 26 video until tomorrow, and at least test out the phone a little bit throughout today. I don't know if I'm going hiking today. I've been doing that a lot lately. And if I go hiking, then maybe I'll shoot some video, some B-roll footage while on the hike, and maybe I'll do a live stream to YouTube. I did a live last night to Facebook, but it didn't save, so screw Facebook. I don't know why. But anyways, yeah. Been doing a lot of hiking, really trying to get rid of this dad body. I know it's wishful thinking. I'm trying to shrink back down into like the days when I was like 19, 20 years old. And I'm actually pretty close to that. Just this morning, I weighed myself. So about 3 weeks ago, I weighed at 171. I was 171 pounds. I'm only 5'4", okay? So that's pretty hefty. This morning I weighed myself and I'm down to 163. And so I am heading in the right direction where I want to be at. So like my meals are like predominantly protein, very mild starch. I don't do that whole thing where it's like the Atkins thing or whatever. I don't cut out carbs and just strictly on protein. But the amount of what I eat in a meal, the protein is the largest amount of what I eat in a meal, and carbs is the very smallest amount. Of course, you got to pick your veggies, and don't be eating veggies that are like pointless, right? They're like empty. They serve no purpose, no vitamins, no iron, no nothing, right? It's just you're eating a leaf. So you have to choose your veggies wisely. But of course, the veggies, should be the medium-sized portion on your dinner plate. Protein as the largest and carbs as the smallest. That's what's working for me. And then of course, going hiking about every day, every other day. So yesterday we hiked for an hour. We've been going to North Mountain hiking trail, so we hiked there. There's several different paths, but ultimately we are at the point where we're making it to the top. I've switched up my tactics. So like for the first month of going back to hiking, I've just been doing the walks. Lately I've been walking some of it, and then I've been running some of it. So it's like, because it kind of goes up and like a zigzag as it goes up the mountain. So one leg up is a walk, and when I get to the corner, me and my kids rest, and then after that, my kids walk with my wife up the next leg while I run up the next leg. Get to that top, take a break, stop for like 5 minutes. They come up, they stop for 5 minutes, drink water, catch their breath. Then we go up the next leg and I walk. So I'm starting to be able to run. Some people may laugh and be like, I can run. Well, good for you. I'm glad you could run. I can tell you guys that my medical and everything was really bad. So yeah, I'm actually feeling 100 times better now. Breathing, being able to run more. My nerve neuropathy is not flaring as much, so I don't feel a lot of stabbing pains in my legs. I'm type 2 diabetic, if you didn't know. And I've had it for a while, so it's really made an impact on my body's health. I refuse to let that be a crutch to, just say, screw it and roll over and die. I want to do something about it because I want to be around for my kids. I want to be around for my grandkids. I'm scared to die, so I am going to fight this to the last hurrah. I've made efforts in the past to beef up my health, and yeah, I'm back on it because like this time of the year is the only time I can really hike. In the summertime, you don't want to hike in Arizona. It's too damn hot to do it. But I love hiking because it's outdoors, it's in nature. I mean, the other day we saw a bobcat run across the street, and that was the coolest thing ever. Of course, it's pretty dangerous. Yes, I get it, because that bobcat could have ran at me, and its bite, it could snap my bones if it got a hold of my leg. So, of course, I've, got to be careful of those things. Nice job focusing on your weight loss. Yeah. And, my wife is loving it too. Progress for sure. Definitely start to notice wherever you gain more energy before losing weight. Yeah, that is it really is. Like people think it's like bullshit. It's not. When you get on a regimen and you start, applying yourself, staying focused to what you're doing, you actually do feel and see the changes. One, my stomach is getting flatter. That's something that I can visually see. I'm like, some people look, some people that know me, they see me and they're like, man, you don't have a lot of clothes. And it's like, yeah, because the ones I used to wear before are not really fitting anymore. So my wife, she's just like, I don't care. You're looking great. And I want to go buy you some new clothes. And I'm telling her, no, buy the kids' clothes. Like, I still have some nice clothes that I wear when I go out, to do things. And then I have like my at-home relaxed fit clothes, like gym shorts and a hoodie. That's what I wear. I don't wear designer clothes. I'm not into that type of stuff. I feel weird, about that type of thing. Other people like to dress up. I don't. I'm a hoodie and shorts type of guy. And yeah, but like a lot of my older clothes are not really fitting anymore. And then so yeah, I can visually see some changes and I can feel it. like this has become, an even bigger progress that for the rest of this year, my kids are now, like my son and my daughter, they're cool with it. So I'm happy that they're cool with it. But instead of driving to pick them up from school, because like to drive to their school is like 5 minutes away from here, that I'm actually walking to pick them up from school, and then we walk home together. It's like a 15-minute walk. It's a 1.5 mile walk. So there and back is 3 miles. And when my kids are ready for it, they're ready to run, then we're gonna run home. So I'll walk 1.5 miles to their school and run back home 1.5 miles. And then when my wife gets home from work, then we go hiking, right? So I get the rest of my, my energy and stuff like that. And of course, I bought some free weights and stuff for strength training. So that's what I do here in the room. And my wife got her bike. So if it's like on a rainy day where we can't go hiking or whatever, she gets on her bike and puts on a movie and pedals herself up to get her heart rate up. And then she's got her free weights, and she's got, her yoga mat and stuff to do, like, different exercises at home and everything to just kind of help out. So yeah, we're really not much on our phones these days anymore too. That's also the best part. And I feel that tremendously mental wise. Not being on my phone so much, not being on social media so much has been such a relief. It's been so freaking cool. Like I would love to like share this to more and more people. Like if you just get the hell off your phone, at least for like 2 hours out of your day, just don't fucking touch your phone at all. Excuse my language, but don't touch your phone at all. And just, like they say, go touch grass, but you don't have to touch grass. You could just like be in your room and ponder and let your mind wander and think of things. And man, you will notice a real big difference mentally. The clarity in your mind is going to change so much, especially for somebody who, like, heaven forbid, I'm not into it, but hopefully you guys are not into it. But like, people that follow politics, my God, man, if they would just take 5 hours out of the day away from their phone, they wouldn't be so stressed out. Like, I don't know what it is. I think, honestly, there's, like one of the things we talked about was the whole thing in Japan. They want to limit people in that town for 2 hours of gaming consoles, smartphones, tablets, computer usage. If that works, then I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna go to the poll here. Let's see, we got 70% of people, so let's end the poll now and let's find out what you guys said. Which was like, so 22% says yes, and the remaining percentage says no. That there should not be any limitations on usage. I think that, it would help people quite a bit. At least just give you a mental break away from like the digital world. Like the Matrix was really telling us where we were going to be at. And we are exactly that now. We are plugged into the Matrix. Everything is on social media, if you didn't think about it. Yeah, so if you unplug yourself from the Matrix, you could be Neo. No, you're not going to fly through your city and stuff like that. But, you know what I mean? Like, your mind will just be so much healthier if you just spend some time off digital products, digital worlds. Y'all get it. Anyways, yeah, I literally appreciate you guys for being here today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on this podcast. Y'all are amazing. Be safe out there. And yeah, if you're a parent with kids and you know that they have the app Sendit, take them off of that service. Do not allow them to use it. For sure, just be on top of your children and what they're doing, okay? They may not like it at first, but you know what? It's for their own good. And yeah, just tell them why you're doing it. Just be honest with your kids. Sometimes things don't need to be kept from their kids. Sometimes you just need to be open to your kids so they understand. Tell them, I'm doing this for your protection, to make sure that no one's trying to hurt you. That's that. Anyways, y'all be cool, be safe, and I shall see you in the next